Right now in the 7 o'clock streaming hour of Sunrise, we'll take a closer look at this video that shows federal officers tasing a woman outside the Portland ICE facility after she allegedly threw a knife at them. We'll also hear from other protesters who say this video doesn't tell the full story.
And police are looking for 2 women accused of theft spree along the I-5 corridor, stealing cash, a rare coin, and a necklace worth more than $9,000. Plus,
let this video be a warning to you. What you don't want to happen this 4th of July. 1 week out from the holiday, we're going to have your annual reminder on how to safely dispose of your fireworks. All of that, plus Rod's weekend forecast, coming up here in the 7 o'clock hour of Sunrise.
good morning, and thank you for joining us live at 7 on your Friday. I'm China Green.
And I'm Drew Carney. Rod, join the fray, would you please? Again, just to be clear, 4th of July coming up 1 week from this weekend.
From today?
1 week from today. Yeah, as a matter of fact, you're right, Rod. But let's talk about today and the forecast you have dialed up.
I tell you what, we have had cloudiness be the big weather story the last couple of days. Today, the clouds that have been that thick the last couple of mornings are like this morning. And because of that, in part, we have an absolute drizzle storm, meaning it's really wet, coming into downtown Portland. But that's in Portland. Here's Salem. The clouds are there, but you folks so far are holding with dry weather. Look at the difference when you look at the Rose City camera. Clouds down into the West Hills, absolutely wet pavement being reported. Temperature 57 degrees. We now have reports of light moisture all the way out to the Columbia River at PDX as well. So it's a rain jacket morning. I use the word patchy because it's not everywhere, but certainly it's centered over Portland, as we mentioned. 65 at noon, still overcast. I would assume it'll be mainly dry. And then we'll look for the cloudiness to thin out somewhat, especially near Portland and to the south later today. High temperature 70 to 74. Back to you.
Thank you, Rod. All right, we do start with a traffic alert here for you for the weekend. It's pretty big. Starting tonight at 9, southbound 217 will be closed between Canyon Road and 99W. All drivers will have to exit at Canyon Road. The closure lasts through 5 a.m. Monday. Ramps from Beaverton Hillsdale Highway to 99W will also be closed. Northbound 217 may see overnight lane closures, but at least one lane will stay open. It's the third of a 5-weekend closure while crews pave ramps and new lanes.
Also, Portland's next Sunday Parkways event is happening this weekend in the Cully neighborhood of Northeast Portland. This map gives you a layout of the area. So the bottom line here is that streets in that part of town will be closed to cars this Sunday between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Bikes, walkers, playing in the street, all of that is good, just no cars. So if you are trying to drive through the area during those hours on Sunday, the city says volunteers will be on hand to help give directions around the blocked off intersections.
Your time now is 7:03. 3 more people face federal charges related to criminal activity near the Portland ICE facility. Federal officers tased one suspect after she allegedly threw a knife at them.
Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz is covering this story for us. He's live in downtown Portland. So Thomas, I know you're going to give us a closer look at that video that shows some of what happened that night.
Yeah, that's right, Drew and China. We're going to show you that in just a second. But this is protests that are happening not just here in Portland, but across the country, nationwide, as part of a broader pushback against the Trump administration's immigration policies. Now, here in Portland, we've seen those protests stem into something a little bit more. That happened again on Tuesday. Take a look.
What you gonna tase him for? What the you gonna tase him for? Oh my God! Are you serious? Are you serious?
So that video shows Federal Protective Service officers follow and then tase a woman after they say she tried to light an incendiary device and threw a large knife at them on Tuesday. This happened after federal officers dispensed gas canisters to disperse the crowd. The woman was 46-year-old Julie Winters, and she appeared in federal court yesterday. She's charged with attempted assault of a federal officer. 2 other people, 20-year-old Azeel Chambers and 28-year-old Rachel Pope, also made first appearances after being charged with misdemeanors. Though protesters say the headlines don't tell the full story, adding more often than not, protests are peaceful.
This is literally a bunch of community members coming together and providing support for marginalized people. That's what they're not seeing.
Now, the Department of Homeland Security is pushing back, saying that rioters will not prevent or stop federal officers from doing their job enforcing the law. Drew, China.
All right, Thomas Schultz live for us this morning in downtown Portland. Next up here on the Sunrise Show, the latest on the trial of former Trailblazers player Ben McLemore, who's charged with raping a woman at a house party in Lake Oswego. We also have a warning here that some of the testimony in this story is graphic. McLemore took the stand yesterday in his own defense, answering questions about the night of that party at former teammate Robert Covington's house in 2021. He testified that he encountered the alleged victim in the bathroom after some of her friends asked him to help move her to the couch because she was intoxicated. McLemore says he later fell asleep and woke up on that same couch hours later with the woman's hands down his pants.
Fondling me and basically rousing me. So that's what pretty much woke me up. Again, I'm in deep sleep. So
the trial comes down to this. McLemore says the sex was consensual. Prosecutors say the woman did not give consent. Closing arguments in the trial are expected sometime next week. We also want to share this reminder. If you or someone you know is a victim of sexual assault, the National Sexual Assault Hotline is available 24 hours a day. That number is right there on your screen. It's 1-800-656-HOPE.
An Idaho judge says Brian Koberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students, will go on trial in August with a 1-week delay. Jury selection will begin on August 4th, and the trial will start on the 18th, a week later than originally planned. The judge didn't give a reason for the change, but did deny the defense's motion for a delay and another defense motion to introduce evidence that someone else may have committed the murders.
Police believe 2 women are targeting jewelry stores and coin shops from here to Seattle using what investigators describe as sleight of hand tactics. On May 31st, surveillance images showed the 2 women at a mall in the Linwood area near Seattle, where they're accused of taking a necklace worth more than $9,000. This is another look at those same 2 women. The very same day, police say they also stole $400 from a shop in Lakewood. And they're also accused of stealing a coin worth about $3,400 a few days later right here in Portland.
They, selected different merchandise, and just through that transaction of checking the different merchandise, they are slipping one into their pocket or transferring it off to somebody else.
Anyone with information about the women or these crimes is asked to call the police department in Linwood. Meanwhile, the former business manager of the Eugene Weekly will be extradited here to Oregon. She's accused of embezzling more than $100,000 from the newspaper. Her name is Alicia Young. She's right there on your screen. She was arrested for a second time last week in Ohio. Now, the first time she was arrested there was last month, but she was later released after Oregon Governor Tina Kotek declined to pay for her extradition. The governor then changed her mind, but by the time she did, Young was already out of jail. Now that she's been arrested again, Young will be sent back to Lane County to face charges.
In Washington, more than 30,000 workers from grocery stores like QFC, Fred Meyer, and Safeway are voting on Kroger and Albertsons' latest contract offer. So the vote comes just weeks after 97% of union members authorized a strike. Their biggest issues include frustrations over wages, staffing, working conditions. A spokesperson for the Fred Meyer and QFC division of Kroger told our sister station Seattle, quote, "We remain committed to good faith bargaining that rewards our hardworking associates and keeps groceries affordable for our customers." If the contract is approved, a strike wouldn't be off the table until at least 2027, and we're expected to learn the results of the vote tonight.
Don't let this happen to you. There's a fair warning on this Friday morning. Next Friday, of course, is the 4th of July. So with the Independence holiday closely approaching, officials in New York delivered this demonstration of what can go wrong when you're setting off fireworks yourself. Fireworks went on sale in Oregon earlier this week. We know they go on sale in Clark County tomorrow. So with that, we have a few reminders about how to properly dispose of your fireworks. You should keep all used fireworks in a bucket of water overnight. The next day, you should dump the water out, but somewhere where it won't flow, into a storm drain or waterway. Then put the fireworks themselves into your trash. Do not put them into your recycling bin. And also, if you have any unused fireworks, you should not put them in your garbage or in your recycling bin because, of course, they're still explosives. You can take them, though, to a designated drop-off site. Rodney Hill,
Yes.
4th of July forecast. Not ready to go there just yet, I know, but you do have this weekend's forecast.
Yeah, I still don't see any signs of an uncomfortable heat wave next weekend, July 4th weekend, which sometimes we have to deal with. But ultimately, I talked about this yesterday, the modeling hasn't been overly consistent. Here's this morning out at the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club in Aloha. There are some raindrops in the pond, and raindrops are being reported, 57 degrees. And then we have just all-out drizzle falling in downtown Portland. It's been going on for hours. It's actually quite wet, definitely a rain jacket start to your day. It's not windy, so an umbrella also works. 57 degrees is the temperature. Raindrops being reported all the way out along the Columbia River. And then we were looking at the bricks, which are wet. Now we're looking at Broadway in downtown Portland, but it is wet across the city this morning. No question about that. Here are the other numbers: 60 in Sherwood, 55 in Gresham, 57 up in Vancouver. Temperatures in Dallas, 57, and out in Albany, it is 59. Again, it's drier in the Mid-Valley, Salem, for example, than it is here in Portland, where it's been a wet start. Temperatures at the 60s at the beach today. And another day where you get east of the Cascades, and you will find sunshine and really comfortable weather. A lot of you will be 75 to 80 degrees for high temperature. So the modeling likes our cloudiness to thin out later today, especially south of Portland, maybe not so much to the north. I've got a 70, 74. Early cloudiness tomorrow, not like today, and then we'll clear out. So from noon on tomorrow, it's just a sunny weekend. 80 tomorrow, we could hit 90 on Sunday. And then we have one more day that will be hotter, 90 to 94 it looks like on Monday, and that is your update.
All right, Rob, we have a Friday light situation as far as traffic goes, at least on these drives that we're showing you on the screen right here. Traffic moving smoothly on all of those drives, including the one from Wilsonville into downtown Portland right there at the bottom of your screen. Right now, that drive is taking motorists about 17 minutes. Well, it has been a full decade since same-sex marriages became legal across the U.S. So coming up here on Sunrise, we're going to hear from one of the first couples in Washington to legally tie the knot 10 years ago, and another couple that's about to get married.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
Yesterday marked the 10-year anniversary of same-sex marriages being legal all across the U.S.
With that milestone in mind, Sharon Yu with our sister station in Seattle takes us to meet two couples, one that's been married for more than a decade and one that's about to be.
Last name Minger, M-I-N-G-E-R.
Andy Bleha and Sprague Minger don't have much time.
Fantastic. Okay, cool.
With their wedding day fast approaching,
Fingers crossed for mom and dad next week.
Sprague has yet to tell his parents.
I did tell them I was engaged, and they didn't They didn't reject me. It's been difficult for them as older people to accept that their son is gay, a little bit, I think. They would say no, but you know.
What they don't know is that Sprague and Andy are already married.
You may kiss your husband.
We just had a lovely ceremony right here in our living room.
Part practical,
Health insurance and taxes and selling houses.
part political.
The election kind of tipped the scale for sure on that.
The thing that made me go, oh, like, was the whole thing with Roe v. Wade. The part of women's rights we thought was locked solid. I kind of look at what happened, you know, just very recently and go, okay, you know, I feel like we made the right move at the time that we needed to.
A piece of paper that binds them together may now protect them.
And then this is us with the actual marriage license.
It's what husbands Paul Beppler and Terry Gilbert fought for.
3, 2, 1. Happy Marriage Equality Day!
In 2012, Washington's marriage equality law was ultimately upheld by a voter-approved referendum, making it one of 3 states where voters directly weighed in, along with Maine and Maryland. Paul and Terry were one of the first couples to be married legally at City Hall in 2012.
The offices opened at midnight, so there were lines. There were a lot of people. There were reporters there, so it was an event. Everybody was just so excited, you know. It means so much to a lot of people.
This eventually paved the way for federal legalization in 2015, allowing same-sex couples to enjoy the over 1,100 federal benefits and responsibilities that come with being officially married.
There are things in the tax code. There are things in inheritance. There are things in medical systems.
Public support for same-sex marriage has more than doubled over the past 2 decades, from 31% support in 2004 to 55% in 2015, and now around 67% approval. Wedding planner Cindy Savage says she sees the difference.
In 2015, most of my queer clients did not have parents in attendance. Most of them did not have family in attendance. And that's for exactly the reason you think. It's because they're homophobic. But what I've noticed in the last 10 years is that more and more we have not only parents attending, but parents attending very enthusiastically.
That's the hope for the newlyweds come October.
Show my appreciation to all of the people that were there to support me and love me through all the times that I had in my life. And so it's a celebration for us, but I get to celebrate with everyone that I love.
10 years after love won, it's still something worth fighting for.
All right, coming up on this week's edition of KGW's Straight Talk, the decision by some local families to leave the country because of what they say is a nationwide pullback of support, that is, for the LGBTQ plus community. Earlier this month, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for minors. Shortly after that, the Trump administration announced it was pulling the LGBTQ plus specific option for the National 988 Suicide Hotline. KGW's Stephanie Domerat sat down with 2 local LGBTQ plus advocates to discuss how these changes are impacting some local families.
A very large portion of the families that I work with have been talking about exit strategies and where they will need to go to and how they will know when they need to go. I've got a couple of families who have already relocated to different countries.
They also discussed on the show how Oregon's laws can act as a safety net of sorts for the community, as well as some misconceptions surrounding transgender people. You can watch the full episode of Straight Talk tomorrow or Sunday night right here on KGW at 6:30. It also airs Monday night at 7 o'clock, and you can watch it anytime through our free TV app, KGW+.
All right, your time now is 7:18. Before we go over to Rod, taking a live look from our Chinook Winds Casino Resort Skycam in Lincoln City. It looks...
What do you got, John? What do you got?
Spooky, maybe?
Spooky?
I don't know. I can't think.
It feels Halloween-y more than it feels summery.
Yeah.
Rod used a technical term. I've never heard him use this term in his weather talk. He said it's puddly out there today.
Puddly.
Puddly.
So I've been up on the weather deck, and I don't have my jacket on because the drizzle is coming down and I feel wet, so I'm letting my shirt get dry. So that's why I don't have a jacket on, by the way. That's what you're walking out to in Portland this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it's not everywhere. Salem and the Mid-Valley looks to be dry but overcast, and we have varying conditions of dry versus wet at the coast. This is the same flow pattern we've had. There was a disturbance that pushed inland late yesterday that was a lot stronger, and because of that produced showers farther south than expected, including down into the Portland and Vancouver area. Now there's a second one just surging inland at this hour, and it's really thickened up the low cloud deck overall, and that's why we have, in large part, the misty drizzle weather that's been going on steadily for hours in downtown Portland. So I want to show you the Timberline camera because this is the first time, this is what, day 3 of these low clouds and the cooler temps. But this is the first time the cloud deck has been vertically extended all the way up past 6,000 feet. So that, again, that's evidence of how thick the cloud deck is. Typically, you would assume, well, it's going to be hard to get out of that, 42 degrees, and it has led to the mist and drizzle we have in Portland. But Salem so far has been dry, 59. Here's the Wells Fargo camera. That's wet. Now, that leads to puddly weather out there, Mr. Carney. There's the Wells Fargo camera. Yeah, that's a wet morning, no matter how you slice it, coming into Portland. Rain jackets on, umbrellas up, whatever you prefer. 58 up in Kelso. It's a solid cloud deck up to Seattle where it's 56. This is another morning when you get over the Cascades into central and eastern areas of our state, you will find sunshine. 55 in Bend right now and 54 out in Burns. Futurecast shows the partly cloudy to sunny weather east of the Cascades. Here are the clouds later this morning, solid up and down the west. It's going to be tough to tell when our mist or drizzle comes to an end in Portland. It's been going on for hours, as I mentioned. This does show later this afternoon clouds starting to thin out, especially south of Portland, as I mentioned. So assuming you folks get partly sunny skies, you'll be noticeably warmer than the last couple of days. Corvallis 77 and Salem 76 degrees. But then you get to Portland and up into southwest Washington, where we have the light moisture and the thicker cloud deck, and we'll be doing well just to get back up to 70, and not sure if we get any thinning of the cloud deck north of the Columbia River or not today. Here's a 7-day forecast. Not looking for a widespread solid cloud deck tomorrow morning, but some early cloudiness that will clear probably through the 9 o'clock hour to 10. And then after that, just a sunny, clear weekend. Nearing 80 tomorrow, nearing 90 on Sunday. Monday's hot, 94. And then after that, it looks like we stay with mostly sunny skies and cool back down into the 80s for the remainder. All right, traffic's got to be slowed somewhat, Mr. Carney. I mean, it's really wet coming into town.
You know what? It's slow in the usual spots right now, Rob, but nothing major to report as we take a look at the big picture drive into Portland. Yeah, again, the typical slow spots, including Highway 26 heading east into downtown Portland. Also, I-5, the traffic coming from Vancouver, heading down south into downtown Portland. Some slowing there, but nothing major to report as we cruise through this 7 o'clock hour.
Hannah Wintour is stepping down as the head of Vogue, but she's not straying far from the company. We'll bring you the details coming up in your morning rush.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
In tech headlines this morning, the blue screen of death that pops up on Windows computers during unexpected restarts will be gone soon. Microsoft is getting rid of it. Later this summer, it will be replaced with a new black unexpected restart screen on Windows 11 devices. Microsoft says the update will lead to faster restart recoveries. All right, your time is 7:25. Here's a look at your morning rush. Closing arguments are underway in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Today, the defense team will get their last opportunity with the jurors. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges, which include racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Jury deliberations could begin as soon as this afternoon. Former White House press secretary turned journalist Bill Moyers has died at 91. Moyers was press secretary under President Lyndon B. Johnson. He also worked as a newspaper publisher and senior news analyst at CBS. He was perhaps most well known for his series of reports on PBS covering everything from government corruption to modern dance. And after 37 years, Anna Wintour of stepping down as the head of editorial content of Vogue. Wintour began her role at the fashion magazine in 1988. She says the magazine is looking for a new head of editorial content. Wintour will now be on the global editorial director at Vogue, and that's a look at your morning rush. All right, taking a live look from our Skycam in the Dalles. Your 7:30 half hour of sunrise is just a few minutes away.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
And good morning if you're watching from the Rose City. Good morning on a wet Friday. It has been much drier in other parts of the valley to our south. Here's our state capitol building. Cloudy skies, dry weather 59, but for hours now, Portland has seen a consistent mist or drizzle falling over the city to the point that it is wet outside as you're walking out and about. 57 degrees is the temperature, so be advised of that. Here is the weather map for later today. We have the solid clouds again this morning from the valley all the way up into Seattle and over at the coast. Models show that the cloud deck will thin out somewhat, especially south of Portland later this afternoon. And it is another partly to mostly sunny day. If you're going over to Central Oregon today, Bend will be mostly sunny and 78 degrees. Burns gets up to about 80. Of course, it's Friday, so here's the weekend update after your planner for today. 65 at noon and then 74 later today. And here is the 7-day I just promised you. 74 today, early clouds, but then sunny tomorrow. Once we clear tomorrow morning, that's it. We'll be clear for several days. 80 tomorrow, back up to about 90 on Sunday.
And a very good morning to Nigel the baby possum. He's settling into his new habitat, the Oregon Zoo, and enjoying some snack time there. Nigel was found abandoned near an apartment building in Lebanon. And right now he's still behind the scenes at the zoo, but keepers hope that he'll be able to venture out to see you visitors.
You kind of gave a signature good morning there at the top of that story,
Yeah.
but what you did not do is give one of your signature cute phrases. Can you, how do we describe that video? No? What? You don't want to do it?
Kind of looks like a rat.
You don't think it's cute?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have to get the genuine cute, and it's not.
You're being honest with the viewers.
I'm always honest with the viewers.
I will say possums are, I thought, cute. Now, when they get older, I wouldn't label them as cute, but the baby possum, I think, is
Can I just hear you say the word anyways?
Cute.
There it is.
Hey, we've got a little brightness on the beach right there. What do you know? That is some folks taking a run. Looks like they've got their doggies with them there. All right, Snookwiz Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City. So dry right here, right now, but overcast. Temperature is 55 degrees. It is overcast this morning up and down the coast to the valley to the Cascades. In fact, it's cloudy all the way up at Timberline this morning. Here's Portland, where we still have ongoing areas of mist and light precipitation falling. It's actually quite wet. Not something that my forecast had prepared you for this morning, but that's what we have going on. And it's tough to tell when the light moisture will wind down. By noon, I will make the assumption, and that's all it is that it will be cloudy but dry, 65. And then if we get some thinning cloud cover later today, we'll warm up to about 74 for high. The weekend, sunny and warmer. That is still a thumbs up go, and that's your forecast.
Still not seeing any major slowing, Rod, because of the rain. It is slow, a little more slow, I should say, on that drive from I-5 South from Main Street to I-405. It's down to a 17-minute drive. Still smooth sailing, though, on 205 South from Patton Parkway to I-84. That is an 11-minute drive at this hour.
Hey, we have breaking news out of D.C. where the Supreme Court has narrowed the scope of nationwide injunctions. These injunctions from judges were a thorn in the Trump administration's policy plans because they temporarily blocked some actions. One of the biggest injunctions blocked Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship. But this ruling allows the Trump administration to take steps to implement the plan, which goes against the 14th Amendment. The decision doesn't address the legality of Trump's plan. It only limits judges' authority to put holds in place nationwide.
All right, happening locally. In fact, in 2 hours at 9:30 this morning, a trimmed-down version of a major transportation bill returns to the floor of the Oregon House.
The fight over the bill comes just days before the legislative session is set to end this Sunday. Catherine Cook has our update.
It's fair to say there's bipartisan drama over this transportation bill. And as it makes its way back out of the committee, there's uncertainty over its future on the House and Senate floors.
Oregonians can't afford for us to kick the can down the road.
And roads are a big part of House Bill 2025-28. The massive transportation bill made it out of committee Thursday, a slimmed-down $11.7 billion version from its previous $14.6 billion form.
Do not believe that the largest tax hike in Oregon's history is a compromise. It is categorically not a compromise.
And I know there are a lot of folks who just say, you can't have any more taxes. Well, the taxes pay for the ability for us to get things done.
So what'll the nearly $12 billion bill get Oregonians over 10 years? Retention of 1,000 ODOT positions to start, including 600 people the state says they'd have to lay off if the bill fails. ODOT says they'd have to close maintenance stations and cut winter material purchases in half, impacting services later this year. Opponents of the bill say that's not the whole story.
We know that all of this money isn't going to roads. It's going to bikes and pedestrians and transit and a lot of things that Oregonians might not know that it goes towards.
The bill would cost Oregonians in several ways. The gas tax would go up by 12 cents in January. The privilege tax for new cars sold in Oregon would rise from 0.5% to 2.25%. At the DMV, registration fees would increase from $43 to $75. The new pay-per-mile tax for electric vehicle owners remains, with used EVs going first in July of next year. Those drivers can pay 5% of the gas tax rate per mile or an annual flat fee of $340.
Thank God we're finally going to address the need to have our electric cars pay their share. And that's built into this bill, and it needs to be talked about.
Representative Kevin Maddox was the only Republican on committee to vote yes in the bill's 8-4 passage. But it's still unclear what will happen when the bill hits the floor.
My hope is that this fails.
Up next, the bill heads to the House, which will meet Friday morning at 9:30. In Salem, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Next up this morning, a follow-up to the KGW series called Uncommitted. Now, the Oregon House just passed a bill that aims to make it easier to force people with severe mental health illnesses into treatment.
Lawmakers have tried and failed 3 times in the recent years to loosen the state's current civil commitment rules. As of right now, the state effectively has to wait for someone to commit a crime before mandating care. Critics of the bill are worried that the new bill would expand civil commitment access without addressing Oregon State Hospital's current capacity. But Senator Kate Lieber says in the long run, more civil commitments should help.
The hope is that this one we're able to actually free up some bed capacity based on this, because you would be treating people and they would go back into the community treated.
The bill now heads to the Senate for approval. KGW investigative reporter Evan Watson has been following this issue for nearly 3 years now. You can catch up on his full Uncommitted series online at kgw.com/uncommitted.
Oregon lawmakers also made moves this week on 2 separate gun bills. One of the bills bans rapid-fire activators like bump stocks and other devices that let guns fire more ammunition at a time. It also lets local governments decide if guns should be allowed inside public buildings. This bill was amended in the House and now heads back to the Oregon Senate. A different gun control bill did not make it through the finish line, of course. This one would have set up a state licensing program for gun dealers in addition to the federal licensing that they're already required to have. That bill died in the House on Wednesday. In reaction to that, Republican Representative Jeff Helfrich issued a statement that said, in part, adding state-level licensing would have increased costs and driven small businesses out of operation, especially in rural Oregon.
Portland's Regional Metro Council has voted to make changes to the supportive housing services tax. That's the one voters approved in 2020. It's paid for by higher income earners across the Tri-County area. Right now, it's a 1% tax on income above $125,000 for individuals or $200,000 for couples. Starting next year, those thresholds will be tied to inflation. The changes are forecast to impact some 90,000 taxpayers.
For the first time since 2011, the Oregon State Senate, voted to override a governor's veto. Senate members voted against Governor Kotek's veto on a bill that had already passed through both chambers of Congress with bipartisan support. The bill aims to give legal backing to Oregon's Foster Youth Bill of Rights. It would guarantee the right to regular contact with siblings and also prohibit unnecessary separation without a court order. Governor Kotek, though, argued it would create some confusion within the current system around child welfare and abuse investigations. On Wednesday, Senate members voted to override her veto with a more than 2/3 majority.
I think these are key critical rights that are not and should not be controversial, and that is what I was focused on. I hope that we are able to ensure that kids don't have to wait yet another year to be able to have a phone call with their sister or to go to the park with their brother.
This bill will now head to the Oregon House, which also has to vote to override the governor's veto.
Now to what appears to be a major shakeup in Portland's WNBA expansion team. The team's president, Inky Sun, has reportedly been fired. That's according to the Oregonian. We reached out to the team's owner, Raj Sports, to confirm that. It told us it doesn't comment on personnel matters. But this comes less than 3 weeks before the expected launch of an official brand identity and 10 months before the season starts. And just last week, we learned that the WNBA recently filed trademarks for Portland Fire, potentially resurrecting the former team name.
Meanwhile, Portland's team is on pace to set a league record with more than 10,000 season ticket deposits already in place for the inaugural season. After the league announced the team's return to Portland, fans were able to place a $26 deposit to reserve season tickets for next summer. Within 2 weeks, 5,000 deposits were made, bringing in at least $260,000. Full ticket prices and seat options are to be released at a later date. People are still reacting to what the Blazers did during Wednesday night's NBA draft after the team moved down 5 spots in the first round to take 7'2" center Yang Hansen from China. CBS Sports called it a, quote, swing of epic proportions. NBC Sports said it's, quote, the biggest head scratcher from the draft. Here's a look at the Blazers draft report card, if you will. Most major publications giving out grades gave them a lot of C's and a lot of D's. Blazers GM Joe Cronin, of course, he thinks differently about the draft.
Very capable player, a very talented young man that has a very bright future. And I would just ask, give him some time, let him settle in and watch him grow. And I think everyone will be pleasantly surprised.
We're going to get a chance to meet Yang this morning. Coming up in an introductory press conference, we're going to stream that for you live on our TV app, KGW+. We'll also have it on our YouTube channel and on KGW.com.
So you may have heard of a pool noodle, but not like this. Starting on Monday, Olive Garden is selling limited edition pasta-themed pool noodles because we all asked for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get the floating fettuccine, the relaxing rigatoni, and the taking it easy tortellini for $40 on Olive Garden's website.
Those are fun to say. Floating fettuccine, Rob. Floating fettuccine on a Friday morning.
You didn't see me, but about halfway through the story, I went, what is this? And I stepped up to kind of clue into what the heck you're talking about. Pool noodles shaped like pool things.
No one.
Noodles shaped.
No one asked for that.
No, that came out of left field for sure. Rod relaxing on his rigatoni.
All right. Hey, I haven't showed you a lot of sun this morning. Let's show you one that's partly cloudy right now. Here's the Oregon Veterans Home camera out in the Dalles. This is another day where the low cloud cover is basically on the west side of the state. You bounce over the Cascades or through them and you find sunshine. The Dalles right now 63. Nice morning. Your winds this afternoon will be west 15 to 25 once again. Now let's go to the west side. Here's the Chehalem tasting room looking out over the vineyard in Sherwood. Cloudy skies. That does appear to be dry. It's 60 degrees. Here's the Wells Fargo camera. And this is real. This is really wet looking. This has been the epicenter, Portland, downtown, of hours and hours of absolute steady mist drizzle that's actually got everything pretty soaked, and you're going to be out in that if you're walking in downtown here coming up shortly. So rain jacket or umbrella, your choice, but you probably want something to keep the raindrops off. It is also wet now up along the Columbia River. Pearson Airfield in Vancouver is 57 degrees. On the east side, Happy Valley, 53. And then it's 60 degrees down in Almsville. Remy's our KGW dog of the day. Use that email address, dogoftheday@kgw.com, and your dog will become our dog of the day. There's Remy this morning. Good morning. All right. Weather map for today. Similar pattern overall. We have the sun and really nice, pleasant weather. In fact, these temperatures have cooled somewhat in the last couple of days. 77 in Madras, 75 in La Grande, but that's nice, beautiful weather. Overcast skies expected to show some thinning of the cloud cover, mainly south of Portland today. Cloudy skies could hold much of the day near Portland, especially as you cross the Columbia and get up into Washington. We'll go 70 to 74 for a high. And then tomorrow, early cloudiness, but by 10 o'clock, we should be clear. And then it's just a sunny weekend. So all of your weekend plans are a go. We still think it could be close to 90 on Sunday. So afternoon planning, you might want to readjust. And then a hot start for one day to start next week on Monday. And that's your update.
Rod, we mentioned this earlier. We should mention it again. Portland's next Sunday Parkways event is happening this weekend in the Cully neighborhood. So streets in that part of Northeast Portland will be closed to cars this Sunday between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., clearing the way for bikers, walkers, and everyone who's playing in the street on Sunday. If you are trying to drive through this area during those hours on Sunday, the city says volunteers will be on hand to help give directions around the blocked off intersections.
Next on Sunrise, we're talking about one of the hottest things happening in the Rose City this weekend. A preview of tomorrow night's Post Malone concert at Providence Park coming up.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
Here's a quick look at what it looks like this morning on the Today Show Plaza. Singer Renee Rapp is performing there this morning as part of the show's City Concert Series. We're also going to see her here later this year. Tickets go on sale this morning at 10 o'clock for Rapp's appearance in October at the Moda Center's Theater of the Clouds. That concert is set for October 13th. It's part of her Bite Me tour.
Meantime,
moving on.
Let's take a look at Providence Park. Looking a little different ourselves this morning.
Yeah, not the soccer field set up there. It's the concert setup because tomorrow night, Post Malone and Jelly Roll are going to take center stage at the stadium. Here's KGW's Devin Haskins with a quick preview.
Well, if you haven't heard, Post Malone and Jelly Roll coming here playing Saturday at Providence Park as part of Post Malone's stadium tour. It's going to bring thousands of people here, and businesses in the area say they're ready to experience that rush. Providence Park is going to be rocking this Saturday night as Post Malone brings his stadium tour to Portland. He'll be joined by Grammy-nominated artist Jelly Roll.
So this is going to be a show you do not want to miss.
Heather Davis is the CEO of the Timbers, and she says this show will bring more than 31,000 fans to Southwest Portland and the city.
But we've heard from a number of hotels that many hotels in the area are booked solid. So we do think that it's going to be a great night for hotels and restaurants downtown.
This is the second year in a row that Providence Park has hosted summer concerts. Last August, the Foo Fighters were here, followed by Green Day just a few weeks later. Both shows selling out. Davis says thanks in part to the expanded seating completed in 2019.
These kinds of tours would bypass Portland before we opened Providence Park to this, so we're really excited that we're able to now get some of these bigger stadium tours here in the city.
We're really excited that they're expanding to concerts.
The concerts are an economic boost, not only for the city as a whole, but to the local businesses nearby.
We experienced a lot of new customers, a lot of people who didn't know we were here. It's brought in a lot of great traffic.
Josh Stewart is the retail manager for Mox Boarding House, just down the street from the stadium on Burnside. Mox is a retail store, restaurant, and game-playing spot all mixed into one. They're excited about the concert, but even more so for Post Malone. That's because he is an avid Magic player.
So we're really excited that he's going to be across the street. I heard he's paid Mox Bellevue a visit a couple years back, so we're holding out hope that he'll show up here that night.
Back at Providence Park, Davis says with the success of the last two shows and what sounds like a third,
we are already looking ahead to 26.
One thing to keep in mind that if you do come down here, parking will be at a minimum. So maybe the cheapest and best way to get down here is TriMet or bus, because your ticket also acts as a free ticket to take one of those options. In Portland, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
So we were looking at the numbers. When it's set up for a concert, Providence Park can hold 30,000 people, making it the largest outdoor venue now in Portland. And I was part of the 30,000 last year when the Foo Fighters came to town. It was awesome. I mean, it was a great scene last summer. Doesn't work as well when it's like December, of course, an outdoor venue like that, but it was perfect last August.
Well, it's going to be really nice out there tomorrow evening. We'll start with the 7-day, and you can see your weekend. Totally different weather pattern arrives tomorrow. There could be some early cloudiness in the morning, but really from 10 o'clock on tomorrow, the rest of your weekend is going to be clear. So we'll be upper 70s to 80 for a high, which means it will be delightfully mid 70s for that concert when it starts, maybe even low 70s. Really nice weather, not expecting much wind. And then we've got the heat getting turned up Sunday afternoon. So depending on what you like or don't like, you might want to rearrange your plans mid to late afternoon because temperatures will be approaching 90, and certainly double down on that Monday as we get up to about 94 degrees, but it looks like we will be cooling off after that. So today is the day that stands out. And let me tell you, it is wet here in downtown Portland. If you are just joining us this morning, we had a disturbance that hit up into western Washington late yesterday, and it was much stronger than expected. It actually funneled scattered shower activity all the way down into Portland and up over parts of Vancouver. Now there's a second disturbance currently marching inland just to our north at this hour, and it has really thickened up clouds coming up the Columbia River and spilling into downtown Portland on the Columbia. And it's the first day this week that the cloudiness is thick enough that it extends all the way up through Timberline Lodge. So you've been finding sun up here the last couple of days, but not this morning. Temperature under the clouds is 42 up there, by the way. And here is what we're calling a drizzle storm in Portland. It's been going on for no less than 3 solid hours at this point of just constant mist or drizzle, and it has everything wet and saturated. 57 degrees is the temperature, so this is your scene. You will want a rain jacket if you're coming into downtown Portland. We also have reports of moisture now all the way out toward Hillsborough and Aloha and up toward the Columbia River. So this is fairly widespread. Mainly dry at noon, I believe, but that is a pure assumption. I can't really pinpoint when this mist or drizzle is going to end. Later today, we'll look for some thinning cloud cover, and we'll get up to about 74. Temperatures outside statewide, it's cloudy all the way up to Seattle, 56 degrees, but Bend is sunny. The Dalles is partly cloudy and 63. It's sunny out east. Baker City's at 57. Futurecast shows the cloudiness this morning at 10 o'clock, and then even going into this evening, clouds from Portland up to Seattle. Thinning clouds you can see south of the Rose City. At the coast, hasn't been widespread reports of light precipitation, but there has to be some areas. We'll look for thinning clouds, especially down in Lincoln County this afternoon. Temperatures 60 or a little bit better. So here's that 7-day again, 70 to 74 today. If you have evening plans, especially up in Southwest Washington, the rain chance is not 0, but we expect it to be dry. And there's the weekend I talked about, 80, 90, and 94 on Monday. That's your update, guys.
Thank you, Rod. All right, we have a big traffic alert for you this weekend. Starting tonight at 9, southbound 217 will be closed between Canyon Road and 99W. All drivers will have to exit at Canyon Road. The closure lasts through 5 a.m. Monday. Ramps from Beaverton Hillsdale Highway to 99W will also be closed. Northbound 217 may see overnight lane closures, but at least one lane will stay open here. It is the third of 5 weekend closures while crews pave ramps and new lanes. We'll be right back.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Tonight on KGW, you can catch the newest episode of Dateline. NBC's Andrea Canning has a preview.
This family farm had gone from calm to chaos.
There's blood everywhere. It had a little shake. Oh my God.
Ben Runick, beloved father, husband, and animal lover, had just been found dead. Deputies from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department located the victim's wife, who had called 911.
The whole building full of things.
The building was filled with reptiles of every size. This was a death scene no one had encountered before.
His skull was crushed, so my first thought was, of course, the snakes.
He was shot in the head. This was going to be a full-scale homicide.
Shock reverberated through the large community of people who knew and loved Ben. If it wasn't a cold-blooded snake, who was cold-hearted enough to kill him?
And you can catch the full 2-hour episode Secrets of Snake Farm tonight on KGW starting at 9 o'clock.
KGW News at Sunrise continues live at 8 o'clock right here on KGW Plus with the latest on the Supreme Court. The court's 9-month term is coming to an end, so we expect a lot of rulings today.
And later, one of the world's richest men is trying to tie the knot this weekend. We take a look at the extravagant event and just how much it's going to cost.
We're going to close out this hour of Sunrise, though, with this. The Washington Post named Portland International Airport the very best airport in the country, using a combination of passenger reviews and other data to land, if you will, land on that decision. The Post described our airport as, quote, practically a nature bath, pointing out its natural light, the views of Mount Hood, and its soaring timber roofs. And it's only going to get better, right? Because the rest of the new terminal still under construction, but it is expected to open up completely early next year. The Sunrise Show rolls on here on a Friday morning. Live look outside downtown Portland. Cloudy start.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.